Good morning and welcome to the third class on retailing. How many are there? There are only 35 at this point in time. So we'll get started with the discussion. Let others join, right? So did you all read the case? Did you like the case? Yeah. Good morning, Debian. Good morning, Meghna. Good morning, Vikas. So did you read the case? Good morning, Pranav. Did you all read the case? Good morning, Atulya. Good morning. Yeah. So how was the case? Did you like it? Have you done any vertical market in your BMDB business model development? Any vertical model that you have done, vertical online model you have done? Good morning, Hari. Have you done, or this is the first time that you're doing a vertical model? A model which focuses on specific product category. Have you done? First time. Okay. Okay, fine. Right. So thank you, Meghna and Debian, for your response. So you must have done horizontal models, business models. That is, models that are focusing on many products, like that of your Flipkart or your Amazon. Yeah. If Spotify, I don't know whether it comes under product category. So let's, at this point in time, focus on products, right? Fine. So what happens is you must have done quite a good number of, multiple product categories being handled on a platform, right? So that has its own merits and demerits. This vertical model means focusing on category, right? So this retailing one product category, that to a product category which was till 2012 not amenable for online sales. That is, furniture was usually bought in a furniture with a furniture retailer. Right? It's a local guy. Not even, we don't have much of a organized market or chain stores for furniture. Right? Of course, Godrej is there, Damro and Durian are there, but they are not found across the country. Right? So the interesting part of this case study is on how the entire system developed, right? So did you read the news item in recent week that Urban Ladder is acquired by Reliance for around 180 crore, right? Did you read that news item? Yeah, right? So the furniture market, please mute. Whose mic is on? So we were talking about how exactly is the consolidation happening. So it has started happening in retail. So in furniture retailing, we will discuss other players in the market, right? So let's get started with the case synopsis. So can somebody come live and then via audio and then tell me what are the key aspects that are discussed in this case? What are the key things that are covered?
One important or different thing that came across the case was a curated marketplace. So what we are popularly, aware about Amazon and Flipkart, where the listings are not limited in terms of, each product category has multiple vendors on the supply side. Here they are, curating the listings so that the discovery becomes more visible.
Product product discovery on the website is made optimal, right? So thank you, Vivek, for pointing this out. So one thing that stands out unique in this business model or in this particular company is that it gives you a curated assortment, right? So where is the term curation generally used? Curation is a word that is generally associated with which product category or which sector, or is it? It is generally associated with museums. Yeah, museums, fashion, right? So those things where the options are many, but then it's very difficult. Like say if it is a museum, right? So there are lots of things that has archaeological, historical relevance. Which of them to place it in the museum so that it be of use to people to know about it? So curation has more of its relevance in fashion and also in museums. So what you're going to give is not an assortment, is not a mindless listing of products, right? So that is one thing. Then what else are we going to discuss in this case? Any key aspect of it? Curated. This is called as a curated marketplace model, right? Then what else are we going to discuss in this case? So all of you are tired early in the morning, is it?
So, ma'am, good morning.
Good morning, Palak. Huh.
So, yeah. So, one more aspect that we would be discussing would be how does pepper fry, take on the competition that is coming up in terms of IKEA entering the Indian market, or
Offline
Amazon.
and online competition.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Thank you, Palak. So this also talks about the intensifying competition in furniture vertical, right? So both offline players and online players are now want to enhance their market share, right? So how is Pepperfry going to handle it? Because they are not profitable as it. Good, right? Meghna, right? So Meghna is right. So Meghna says creation of an ecosystem. That is again another thing which we will be seeing elaborately. How is this whole ecosystem is created, right? So if you look at Pepperfry, it is just a startup. Murthy and Shah are what to say highly ambitious entrepreneurs, and how exactly these two people, right, are creating the whole ecosystem, right? So back end, front end, right? So they are creating logistics, infrastructure, supply chain coordination, sourcing. How are they doing it? This is another important aspect. Good, right? So variety, yeah, omni-channel also we will be discussing, right? So why exactly a successful online retailer? Why is he coming to offline? What is the experience that he's going to offer, and what is that he wants it? Good, right? And yeah, variety, long tail in omni-channel, establishing supply chain. Exactly, Isha, this is what he had done, right? So from installing machinery in the factory or in the place of production, till it is reached the consumer's point, till it is assembled, right? So the entire activity is coordinated end to end. Pepperfry is in control of it, right? So we'll see more of it in elaborately on all these points. So what exactly is your curated model? Why omni-channel? What is ecosystem creation? What is curation, right? So how exactly is the supply chain created? That is more important, right? So when you're venturing into online for the first time in a category which was so very localized, right? So there is a humongous effort required by the person involved to take it forward. So we will discuss elaborately on all these things, right? So what we'll be doing here now is that we'll be talking as discussed, right? So the whole industry is disrupted, right? So disruption is not breaking, right? So in this case, what had happened? They have unified it, right? So here they have bought different furniture makers, whether it is the artisan or whether it is a small manufacturer, okay? So all of them are now put on one place. So all these sellers have access to buyers across India, right? So sourcing is centralized, sourcing is taken care of, logistics is taken care of, warehousing is taken care of, delivery is taken care of, right? So they have disrupted the business in a different way, right? So they have not appended in a traditional disruption. This is not a traditional disruption. That is a key highlight of it. So you need to understand disruption is disrupting or breaking or doing something which was already in existence. So what did these guys do? They have created something which was non-existent. Is that clear? Are you in a position to appreciate that of the Pepperfry founders? They have disrupted by unifying the players, by creating a supply chain ecosystem, right? So by giving consumers what they needed. And then, of course, a part of it is a platform strategy. And another thing that you need to do is that you have to understand is that what is the role of a startup? What is a startup does? Usually they have something to offer, they transact, and then thereby they make money, and they also contribute to the entrepreneurial system and also to the economy. But what did these people do? They went beyond the call of the company, right? So what happens is that they have built something which was non-existent, right? So this is beyond something their own call of the duty. That is what we call as call of duty. It is not their job, right? So to stay in the supplier's factory, right? So make sure that the machines are operated. Make sure that you source quality raw materials, right? So make sure that you put all your computers and systems in place. Yeah, systems in place. Then you have your forecasting done, and also order, delivery, follow up, everything online is done. So it seems that the founders themselves had worked with close to 250 suppliers, right? So it is not called for. It is beyond their call, right? So what they have done, of course, there is a commercial intent to it. There is no denial of the fact. This is a commercial venture. This is not a social venture. But then what they have done is something which is beyond that also, right? So we have to look at it from the aspect of role of startup in creating something new, and they doing something beyond what is expected out of them, right? So first, right, so now I want somebody to tell me what are the challenges in creating the online furniture vertical. What exactly are the challenges? Can somebody tell me what could be the challenges
Hello.
in creating? Palak.
Yes, ma'am. So first, the sector is very unorganized.
Okay.
So probably to get everyone on board would be difficult. Secondly, the consumer behavior in terms of people today in India, I mean today as per the case, before Pepperfry comes into foray, is that people do not want to venture up more than 10 kilometers of their radius to get their furniture work done, despite the furniture person taking months to deliver the work, because they trust that person, and they are more, because furniture is a high involvement
Product.
product in terms of customization, design, etc. They feel that it is secure to take it physically and see it with their eyes, etc. So to get this thing done online would be a difficult task for Pepperfry.
Good,
So
good, good.
Ma'am,
So it was,
also logistics is very challenging because of the size of the products and the and if it gets damaged, then who will bear the cost?
yeah.
So that's a very risky affair.
Including packaging also. If you want to transport it, it has to be packaged.
Yes, packaging.
Packaging and transporting is a big problem. It was unorganized. It works on trust basis, right? So and also they preferred online mode, right? Or sorry, offline mode, right? So it is always easier to work with the people whom you know, right? So customers always wanted something customized for them. So the wood or the style, design, or the way in which it is crafted, right? So, and Nikhil has got the point bang on. People don't want to do any high involvement, like high price transactions online. They would always like to see it themselves before going, right? So, and also one more thing, Mayanka is also right in saying that old habits die hard, right? So we are quite used to seeing the carpenter doing things for us. So we don't want to all of a sudden go to a online retailer and then buy something and then somebody coming and then say I'm doing it, right? So these are basically things that we, yeah, getting suppliers switch to online. Yeah. And there's another, exactly, Ritvik. This was what I was looking out for, right? So this, it is not easy to pull all these people online. Do you think that these people would have agreed easily to Shah and Murthy the moment they gave them the proposal that all of them can sell online? There must have been quite a good amount of resistance from their end. Yeah, right? So domestic and international competition, good. These suppliers would have resisted to the core on this online concept. They wouldn't have understood the concept in the first place. Even after understanding, onboarding them would not have been the easy task, right? So it is not given in the case, right? So it would have been a difficult task. Yeah, Yesha, they don't keep inventory, it is customized. So what happened is that there are only very minimal products or no products kept. They will show you a catalog and then they will ask you to choose from the catalog, and then it will be made and then it will be delivered. And then it will be delivered with almost fully made, right? So it is not like knockdown parts, right, which needs to be assembled upon reaching the destination, nothing like that. So a table will be made in the carpenter's place or in the furniture outlet, and then that table will be transported directly to the customer's place. There is no assembling, there is nothing like that, right? So there is no assembly part of it, right? So in the case of online, when you buy things, it needs to be assembled, but in the case of traditional retail outlets, That was not a problem, right? So if you look at what exactly are the challenges in creating an online furniture vertical, please understand today we'll be talking only about vertical marketplace model. Vertical marketplace model, for the benefit of those who joined late, it is an online platform which sells only specific product category, right? So in this case, they have home decor, utility, and furniture, but it is largely classified as a furniture vertical, right? So utility is only very minimal part of it. So furniture and home decor is largely classified as the online furniture vertical. So if you look at all what we discussed, it can be categorized into two sets of challenges. One is category related, the product in itself, and the other one is consumer related, and the third one will be supplier related. That I'll be doing it a little later, right? So to create a market, right? So initially what happens is that, as we discussed enough, right? So people always prefer buying offline, and they always want the local vendors to do. And there is a strong sense of touch, feel, and buy. Yes, even in furniture, right? So even if the model is not available, they will touch, feel the other furniture, that is the furnitures that are available. And the one important thing that we left out in the discussion is that after sale service is more important. See, Indians are always worried about what happens next, right? So we have this constant, not Indians, basically humans are never mindful of being present, right? So if you look at psychology literature on why all of us are stressed, right? So why is there so much of people who are depressed, who are worried, who are stressed? Can you tell me what is the reason? This is not related to online vertical. Can you tell me what is the reason? Why stress is becoming increasingly a fashionable term to use, and also all of us suffer. Uncertainty, okay, Nikhil, good. Go a little further. Can you just tell me? So it is related to your personal development. So why are people generally tensed? Why are they stressed? Why do they worry about it? What is worrying? What is worrying?
Ma'am, comparison or competition?
Comparison or competition, overthinking. All of us are not being present at the moment, right? That is the root cause of all these things, right? So what happens is that if you are being present at the moment and understand, appreciate what is happening at the moment, right? So half your worry will come down. So practice mindfulness for one day. You'll find a great sense of relief, right? So what happens in that particular case, if you're mindful, right? So I am talking, right? So all my, what to say, jaws, my lips, my tongue is moving. I can sense it. All these things, if you're mindful, what happens is that the cognitive component of the brain is engaged being at the moment. It doesn't think about the past. It doesn't think about the future. If it is present, then you're enjoying every activity. That is a blissful state, right? So Indians or people generally, what happens is that we are always worried about what will happen next. So what if the furniture breaks? What if there is a repair that needs to be done? What will I do? This after sale service is a big problem, right? So we are worried about it. So if it's an online retailer, I don't have a specific entity to whom I can go and talk to. If it is a local retailer, I can go to the store and then I can grab him by his collar and then bring him to my home, right? So what will I do? This is one. And when, as discussed in the category related case, all these we have discussed, those products aren't standardized, right? So no form of standardization in any form, in product quality, material, dimension, size, design. There is nothing called a standardization, right? And this is also a product category which cannot be standardized. That is inherently there. And then the whole ecosystem is highly fragmented, or it did not exist at all, right? So even if you want to organize it, it is not all that easy, right? So that is what we saw it. Okay, now we have seen the challenges, right? So now let's go into opportunities. We should not always be pessimistic early in the morning. So let's discuss about what are the opportunities that were available for Shah and Murthy to disrupt it. So disrupt here means unifying, right? So don't take it in the conventional sense. So this model talks about disruption in a opposite paradigm, right? So unifying the players of the system. Now tell me, what were the opportunities that were available? What was the opportune moment for them, right? So a startup will start something when they find a viable business model or a interesting opportunity. What was the opportunity that was available? that told them that this industry can be disrupted, right? So this is highly unorganized. Yeah, unifying the fragmented market. Good, Pranav, right? So variety, investment in the retail, exactly. Right? So people are investing, they are becoming discerning, right? So variety, then anything else, any other opportunity that was available, 90% unorganized, right? So this is something which they looked at, right? So this being unorganized, can we organize that, right? Customization, right? Real estate growth, small decor sales, and customer confidence, good. Only 1% is online, only 10% of it is organized, 90% is unorganized, and not much of what is called as an industry existed. Quicker delivery post purchase, how to enable all these ecosystem, right? So this is basically, somebody must have been really daring, or I believe Murthy and Shah must have thought about it. And yeah, consumers' orientation towards self-expression. So home is now an extension of our self, right? So earlier, home was an abode, right? So if you look at home purchase, I don't know how many of you are relatively young, right? So home, some 20, 30 years were bought by people only in their 40s. It will take relatively longer for them to buy home, right? So because see, India was not liberalized at that point in time, and money was very difficult thing to. They were earning very little, and also much of expenses with it. People used to save to buy a home, and then they used to buy a home very late in their life cycle stage, right? Yeah, standardizing the process. Now what is happening is that now the current generation is buying home. The home buying median age is dropping to less than 30 these days. Till last decade, it was hovering around 30, 35. It is dropping more and more. And these youngsters are all millennials, not Gen Zs, but those who buy homes are millennials. And for them, home is not an investment, right? So for the previous generation, home is an investment. For them, home is a expression or extension of their self. So they want whatever is present in the home to reflect the person they are, right? So what happened is that the product purchase and other things also is in line with his taste and preferences. This is one opportunity. Yeah, they emotionally invest in their way. They're true, Amrita. So what happens here is that the way in which the home looks, that is what I told you, it's an extension of myself. It is my expression, right? So that was not the case when my mother bought the home, right? So when my mother bought the home, or when my grandfather bought home, right? For them, it was an investment. It has to be passed on from one generation to another generation, right? So, but now this home which I buy at a very young age, right? So is just an extension of it. So there is quite a good amount of things that are exciting in the real estate space. People are buying home, and the median age of people who are buying home also in decreasing. And what happens here is that you need to understand that the entire furniture vertical was moving towards, converging towards the youngsters' taste and preferences. Even if you look at this vertical, if Pepperfry, they are focusing only on the young, urban, upwardly mobile generation, predominantly millennials, right? So they are not focusing on older generation. They are aware of the fact that changing their habits is very hard. It's not all that easy, right? So I will play one video which talks about an interesting snippet into it, after which we'll come back to our discussion, right? Just give me a moment, I'll just share that video with you all.
To truly build a sustainable business, we needed to have a category where you not only have demand side differentiation, which happens courtesy, the brand you create, but it's also a truly differentiated business also comes from supply side differentiation. And there are very few supply side categories that exist, which are, so to speak, truly follow a normal distribution curve, wherein consumer choice exists across all elements of the SKU range. And furniture was one such category, furniture and home, where the bell curve is relatively flat and customers essentially seek choice. So we figured that there was an opportunity for us to build a business where we provided supply side differentiation, courtesy tons of choice to the consumer, and we also provided demand side differentiation, courtesy the brand that we built. And then we, about a year into our existence, we started investing behind the supply chain, which is essentially the pipe that joins the two together. And so therefore, furniture was a great starting point from a differentiation standpoint. The other things I think that also counted was, so while it's a vertical, it's like a super large vertical. It's like, depending on whom you believe or which research report you read, the size of the furniture and home market in India is between 25 to 35 billion dollars. So it's a really large vertical. It's also a vertical which is largely unorganized. So 90% of that which is sold in India in furniture and home is actually from the unorganized sector. And so therefore there's an opportunity for us to organize the unorganized segment, disintermediate intermediaries, and hopefully disrupt the entire category in order to be able to build a great business.
If you look at how furniture was bought in the country in the past, furniture was inherently bought off catalogs, right? You would not find a retail shop that can show you more than 5 beds. And, when you are in the market to buy furniture, out comes a catalog, and you would either be shown a catalog by the retailer and you make a choice out of it, or you get a carpenter to make the same product that you see in the catalog. I think what we have done as Pepperfry is that we have democratized furniture choice in the country. So furniture, inherently is a long tail category. What it means is that this category is driven by great variety. You would not like to see the same bed in all the apartments in your building, right? And therefore, in order to build a large furniture business, you have to offer a large variety to the consumers in the country. Often a variety-led business cannot happen right when you try to run it off inventory. And therefore, the best model to run such a business is a marketplace model.
Just give me a moment. I'm just coming back. So what did Murthy and Shah tell you? Right? What did you see in the video? So you saw 4 important points. What was that? He was trying to organize an unorganized industry, right? And the second thing that he was doing was to disintermediate the intermediaries, right? And the third thing that Murthy focused was he wanted to disrupt the industry. And the last thing that Shah was mentioning all through his talk was that he wanted to democratize the entire process. So he wanted people to have choices, right? So these are the 4 things, according to founders, which led them, right? So to go in for the change, right? So let's go, customers seek variety. See, inherently people don't want to shop in an outlet that doesn't give them variety, right? So they can get overwhelmed by variety, but then they want some variety, right? So he was very right? So he says how he matched demand and supply. Did you listen to him carefully? So he was beautifully narrating also. He says, this is what is the supply side, this is what is the demand side. So I just connected them, right? But this connection is what it was not done for years together, ages together, right? So it takes somebody like Shah and Murthy to intervene. So they found a good opportunity in the case of online furniture vertical. So these are the things they want to organize, they want to disintermediate, they want to disrupt, they want to democratize the choice option, right? So now do we have choices? How many of you have bought furniture in Pepperfry or Urban Ladder or any of these online verticals, Live Space? Anybody bought furniture for your home? Anybody? Can you share your experience? Anybody who had tried
Ma'am,
Pepperfry? Yeah.
not really pepper fry, but yeah, Furlenco. I don't know if that fits in the category.
Furland is rental, right?
Yeah, rental furniture. I mean, it was also a new experience because you had to rent furniture, rely on
Yeah.
some other.
Okay. How was your experience? I wanted to know somebody who has rented furniture. How was it?
Yeah, so I rented for a year, for 2 years actually.
Okay.
Uh, was very smooth and very surprising. Also, I was very skeptical because I took everything right from the fridge to the
Okay.
bed to
Okay. The
sofa,
entire
everything.
home was furnished by Furl & Co.
Yes, and everything was new. The best part was that everything was new. The fridge was new, the bed was new.
Okay. How was
Uh,
the pricing? Yeah. How was the pricing?
so I took a queen
Package.
size, a king size bed.
No. I'm
One
asking about how is their model work? Is it a package or is it
It was
independent?
a package, yeah. So you could customize it. So they
Okay.
had some
So you
basic
took
packages.
bed, you took fridge, you took dining table, you took whatever is needed for you. So how was the
Yes, yes,
how was the
and
price?
it was 4,500 for per
45.
month.
Okay, 4,500 per month is reasonably good, right?
Yeah, it was decent enough, yes. But again, my dad calculated, and he was like, you could actually end up buying the rent that you're paying for 2 years. You could actually would have bought. So their mentality was that you could have bought it,
Oh, yeah, that
but
is.
but I didn't want to, probably because I knew I had to dispose it of. The biggest
Hmm.
opportunity for such players is that these millennials or these people will move from one place to the other.
See,
Uh,
Palak, you find you and your father are exact examples of how the consumers are changing, right? So you are
yes,
the ones like who don't want to own assets because inherently you know that you'll be moving from a particular place or moving to higher studies or something like that. But then even otherwise, these millennials are not into buying things; they are into renting things, sharing things, right? And then your father must have done this called cost calculation, and he must have arrived at this particular option, right?
yes, yes.
Good. Okay. Anybody rent Mojo Vinay? You have rented furniture
Yes,
from
ma'am.
there.
I had rented it for like 6 months,
Okay.
cupboard and a bed. But
Hmm.
I also found that the onboarding process and everything was really smooth. So
Okay.
I just had to make the payment, and within
How much did
48
you
hours.
pay? How much did you pay? Like, if you want to tell,
Uh,
because we want to
so
know that I have not been experiencing that rental model. How was that for bed and for what did you take other?
no, I think the both package was not more than some 700 per month. So I
Mm-hmm.
rented for 6 months, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, in Rento Mojo they had options. So if we are using something for, let's say, more than 12 months, so we could own it
Mm-hmm.
with some additional charges. So they did have that option
Okay.
to
Good.
own the furniture after
What
12 months or
okay,
so.
just in case if you're having an extended stay, they give you an option of not only renewing a subscription but also owning it. Is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good.
And so they just took some 1500 refundable deposit.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Hmm.
I really liked the
Entire
experience, and it's really hassle free to say.
okay, good.
We don't have to worry
Good.
about the damage or to buy it and where to sell it again. Since I
Yeah,
was living in a
yeah, all these things
PG.
till you get married and settle, you don't have to own assets, right? So you want to work on an asset light model, right? Unlike
Yeah.
Pepperfry, which works on asset heavy model, they invest in everything. Whether it is packaging, they will invest. If it is logistics, they will invest, right? So if it is supply chain, they will invest. So what is this model called? It is called asset heavy, operations heavy model. So these guys are investing in assets also. They are now in the operation also. They are now into involved in suppliers operation, like setting up the factory, putting it on what to say, making it work, picking up the first mile delivery, storing, transporting, right? So what Pepperfry does is that now I'm now going into the business model also. It's a asset heavy and operations heavy model, right? So thank you Vinay and Palak for sharing the experiences, right? So we will now continue with the class. So we were talking about all these things elaborately, right? So as to how Murthy and Shah work, right? So how they gave catalog. So Shah was extensively talking about what is catalog, and one thing that was not discussed in the entire discussion of the class and their speech was that pricing of this product is rather non-transparent, right? So nowhere in furniture industry, right, up till the online vertical came, both horizontal and vertical, there wasn't something called as the transparent pricing, right? So pricing is dependent on how exactly is your negotiating skills. Have you tried it? Have you bought furniture from a local retailer? It is hard bargaining. Anybody has got experience with local furniture wallas? Buying furniture, have you seen them? There is no fixed price, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
it is high negotiation that happens, and then there is non-transparency. So if you have greater buying power, they are not buying power, negotiating power, then you will get a relatively less price. So there was a huge opportunities that was available, right? So how many of you have seen the paper fry advertisement? Have you seen it? Have you seen that advertisement and what they communicate? Have you seen? No. Okay, fine. At least respond, yeah. Let me, like, why is it that you all are very dull? You are very, yeah, quality standardization. Okay, right. So you have not seen. Let me share that with you, right? I will take you to that, and then we'll just, it's a short ad clip. Ad clip will be very short.
If you could. If you could, you'd get the wood on your own. Get it polished on your own. The furniture delivered on your own. But since you can't, leave it to us. Choose from the unlimited range of furniture on pepperfry.com. Happy furniture to you.
What did the ad communicate? What did the ad communicate? Right? So product, yeah, most of us might have seen, yeah. It was focusing on the nitty-gritties, hassle-free purchase. So have you seen those two people? Those are young people, they're not older adults, right? So what they want is the less of hassle, more of convenience, right? So they cannot do everything, yeah, better than the local vendors, and they were also focusing on variety, right? So it takes from end to end, it is taken care of, and then it focuses on what it wants to convey is that there is endless variety. Did you see that? Right? So towards the end of it, it focuses on the variety and also, if possible, any customization that is required, right? So what you need to understand is that there is a way in which the industry was operating, and these guys, right, so focused on three important aspects of it. So what is that? Point number one is variety, and then the second one is that, as I told you, price, right? So pricing became transparent after these online retailers took their industry. Till then, there is no standardization. If you go to Godrej, have you been to Godrej Interior? Have you seen the pricing there? The products, I have been to Godrej, and then I find it is exorbitant, right? So the prices of the product over there are not like normal ones. If you like visit, I had visited a couple of local retail furniture retailers, and also been to Godrej Interior. You can find a stark difference between the way in which the products are priced, right? So in Godrej, it is far too expensive. In furniture retailer, as I told you, it is always negotiated pricing. And these guys brought in that transparency. And they also offered value. So what is value in marketing? It is always benefits minus the price of or the cost of the product, right? So one thing that we should thank Shah and Murthy is for making the entire industry transparent and for making this entire industry unified, right? So as a result of unification, what the consumer has got is that he has got more of variety, and variety is leading to better value, better choice options, and ultimately it is driving down the price also, because there are a lot of people, right? Okay, now let's get into the online platform strategy. So how did they do? How did they do? Any idea as to? I was talking about these things, right? So convincing these retailers, like or furniture makers, are not all that easy, right? So how did they manage to do? How did Pepperfry create a platform to connect demand and supply? So demand is the consumers spread across the whole country, and supply side is the furniture makers, both artisans, local small, local large, local medium, right? So all of them at one end, these two people are now joined together through Pepperfry marketplace model, right? So these suppliers will exhibit their products, and these guys, the consumers who want it, will now look into the options available, right? So look into the listings of the product and then buy the product. So how did they create this model? How did they? Can you just visualize? Like, can you just go back and then think like how it must have been difficult for Shah and Murthy to put things in place. So which one they would have? Yeah, good, Isha. Exactly, they were there from for the entire set of activities, right? So from making it, right? So from packing it to delivering it, they were there at the end of it. Good. They created the whole ecosystem. Good. They showed their commitment. Exactly, Devi. And this is more important, right? So see, all these people whom they are onboarding are not like our MNCs who can understand the nuances of business, right? So for them, they work on trust basis. And then if you want to bring them and then if you want to keep them on board, you have to work more on trust and commitment. Exactly. That is a soft and intangible part of it. Great, great, Devian, right? So then Abhishek says onboarding, yeah, exactly. So managing their entire supply chain, right? So creating the catalog. So they intervened in creating the catalog also. So these players are, as I told you, they're all small size players who are not conversant with taking a photograph, nice flashy photograph, and then making it appealing, right? So these guys help them in product display also, right? All you need is to tell them what it is. So they will take care of everything, right? So every step, it is very taxing also, physiologically and psychologically, to man the entire chain of activities. Is it easy for us? Is it easy for any of us to do any of the activity end to end? We want to outsource this, we want to delegate, right? So we want to use so many different words to not do an activity, is it not? So what happens in all your group meetings, right? So is there anybody who's willing to take the entire chain of activity, right? So from taking the discussion questions, downloading it from VC, to collecting the material, collating it, right? Editing it, writing it, then posting it in the group, and then uploading it in the VC. Is there anybody who wants to do the end-to-end value chain activity of group submission? Anybody? Anybody who's doing it? Tell me. So if it is very difficult, if it is all that difficult, yeah, nobody will do it. No one wants to do that. We want, if it is a group, then we want to delegate it to so many different partners. And then we want to do what is assigned to us, right? So what you need to understand is these guys have gone beyond their level of call of the duty. That's what I was telling in the start of the case. It is not what is expected out of them. The commitment that they show, that is exemplary, right? So what happened is that there are four fundamental ways in which they approach the problem, right? So four fundamental ways that I will tell you is, first is decoding suppliers, right? So they understood what the supplier, who the supplier is, what he wants. Are you in a position to understand? So decoding suppliers is like understanding what he is and then how to work with him. Then he decoded the consumers. So this is a supply side, right? So what he wants, what should I give him? The next decoding part of it is who is the consumer? What does he want? Then what happened? He linked them through the logistics part of it. He collected them, he linked them through the logistics. And then to aid the entire process, it was data driven, right? So he kept track of what is the consumer preferences through data points, right? So how to schedule, routing and scheduling, right? So through your data, all the decisions were data driven, right? So what you need to understand is, how did they create this? Is basically they decoded the supply. What is decoding? Decoding is a way in which you understand him better. It is just a new word to tell, right? So decoding is understanding and making him work efficiently or work with them efficiently. Decoding the customers, understanding what they want and then giving them what they want, right? So there are two sets of players, link them through your logistics support. And for the entire process, to understand consumers, to understand suppliers, or to work with suppliers, or to make the delivery process efficiently, you work with your logistics, you work with your data, right? So the four pillars of Pepperfry are like how they're successful. See, anybody who's successful, success is not by chance, right? I believe all of you will agree, right? So anywhere, even in your personal life or in any business or in any professional life, nothing happens by chance, right? So if they say that, people say that he's lucky and he's getting it, possibly he's worked his way towards it and things had fallen in place at that point in time, right? So it is sheer hard work, right? So you need to understand, you need to get into the data to find out, right? So how much am I forecasting, right? So is the forecast, right, working? right? So is it offbeat or is it below, right? So that there is stock out. Yeah, forecast accurately over the period of time. So as a result of it, what is happening? Scheduling is going as per norms, right? So I'll tell you, there are 50 units of tables are needed at this point in time. So people are working from home. So there is a high need for tables, right? So I predict some 200 odd tables will be sold from your company, from your warehouse, from your manufacturing unit, and that 50 units or 200 units will be sold, right? So what happens is that they have to decode. If you look at decoding of the suppliers, what is not given in the case is that, right? So they were given upfront payment, right? So the suppliers, see, they have to source raw materials, they have to run their operations. Nobody can operate on credit, right? So wait, how many of you, that is why I asked you, anybody who had bought furniture in Pepperfry? No one has bought furniture in Pepperfry? One more time, I'm asking you.
Their platform does not have reviews for the product. Like Amazon, we can see the reviews of customers'
Okay.
products,
There
but
are no product reviews, is it? I have not bought furniture from Pepperfry. I have bought it from Flipkart.
yeah,
Right?
Flipkart we can see reviews of the customers who purchase the product, but in Pepperfry we cannot
Pepperfry.
see that.
Okay, so that's the reason many people don't buy, is it?
I was going to buy, but that's the reason why I didn't.
Yeah, possibly there can be many people like you also. No, so people now, one of the reason why, or one of the parameter for consumer conversion, right, on online is reviews, right? But authenticity of reviews is highly debatable, but we have to work on it, right? So what they promised is that they promised that they will give them upfront payment. This is something which enticed them. And then see, then they also spoke about the potential scaling up opportunities. Right? So what Murthy and Shah did was they sold a dream to them. Are you in a position to understand, right? So now you are working for 50,000 rupees. You're making 50,000 rupees per month. So work with me. I will make you. I can work with you and then make you get 5 lakh or 50 lakh, right? So then they had given their projections, right? So they sold the dream to the suppliers. Are you in a position? So working with that might be the reason for pushing studios. Yeah, true, Vivek. That is the reason that studios are coming up. Did you read the article which I sent this morning? Atulya must have forwarded you one article, one of Urban Ladder and the one of, yeah. So that talks about the expansion spree. Right? So these guys were very smart. They worked on the supplier psychology. See, anybody would like to grow, right? So when you are able to sell the dream of growth, right? So packaged well, then it sells easily, is it not? So these are all the tricks of the trade which you should learn, right? So all of you will go to market in another 6 months down the line, right? So when you want to get people on board, what do leaders do? What do great leaders do? They tell stories and then they sell dreams. Have you observed Obama? Have you observed Obama's speech? What does Obama do? Right? So no response for Obama, also no response for Pepperfry, right? So how to take class for you all, yeah? Why is it that you're not participating? Is it anything? Is Pepperfry a tough case for you to read? Huh? Tell me that. What is holding you up? See, then I have to make you present. Then I have to ask randomly people to present slides. I don't want to get into those things, right? So why are you not answering? So I'm teaching it from the leadership point of view also. So what I'm telling you is a practical tip, right? So if you look at great leaders, if you want to become a great leader in your own space, right? So two things you have to master. One is telling stories, and the other one is selling dreams, right? So observe from today onwards on how great leaders communicate with their audience. These are the two things that is a common thread that will run across, right? So these guys are capable of selling dreams. So I don't want to name anybody from Indian political scenario, right? So look at Obama, right? So Obama sold so many things so well, right? So great orators, great communicators. So this guy also has done it wonderfully well. He says, this is the scale which is available for you. Please go ahead, right? So we will make America great again. Yeah, that is what I'm telling you, right? So when you're talking with all these suppliers, right? So why I'm telling you is that it is not that you're going to be working only with your suited and booted guys. When you start off with, you will work only with people of their nature, right? So your job is to convince them. So when you convince them, if you go with your spreadsheet, right? So saying this is the projected trend and forecast and other things, they will not accept. Give facts in the way in which they understand, right? So don't open your Excel and then our Excel use Excel solver and then throw data on them. Sell them dreams, tell them stories. That is more important, right? So then the next part of it, right? So we dealt about all these things of how they invested money to play with them. And then, right, so the entire supply chain process, which we discussed it elaborately, I will not go into that elaborately. So as I told you, it is an asset heavy, operation heavy model, meaning that you are taking part in every operation of the supplier. Is it viable in the long run? Tell me, right? I sit with him, get loan for him, make him build his factory, man them, and then produce them, help them with their systems and processes. Is it in the long run? Okay. Right?
And if something similar like pepper fry comes up, then they can switch.
They can switch. They can always switch. All your efforts that you've invested might have gone waste. You always have to work at arm's length, right? So don't get emotionally connected with them. And also, right? So they also work with them to train them better, right? So see, as I told you, would reduce, yeah, that is what they're psychologically doing there, yeah, right? So these players are all like not like shrewd businessmen like who sit in our boardrooms and conference halls. They are the ones who value trust, relationship, commitment, right? So they're unlikely to switch. Are you in a position to understand? So if the seller in Faridabad or someone in Kundamangalam is not very ambitious when it comes to doing things for revenue, right? So he will always value relationships, trust, and partnership. So that is the reason why all these traders might not do. But see, the corporates always have the way of getting things done. They know how to pay, make people switch. It's not easier, but it's not impossible either, right? So who will leave? That's what I'm telling you, right? So they will leave. There is ways of enticing them, right? So it is not, what to say, not doable, but they will do. And then one more thing that they have to educate consumers and suppliers also is a flat pack concept. See, they are used to assembling everything and then taking it to the consumer's place. But that will not work in this kind of a model. So they have to tell them. And the next one, right? So this is an interesting part of it, right? So let me, can you just tell me, how was their logistics? What was the first mile pickup? What was the last mile pickup? And how did the entire operation take place? Can you tell me, right? So what is called as a large item distribution model? Can anybody come live on audio and tell if feasible? Yeah. What is this logistics? I was talking about this logistics, which I want to elaborately discuss because we have discussed enough and more about decoding consumers, right? So what do they want? What are they giving? Let's come to the large item distribution model. Can somebody come live and tell me via audio? Yeah, they created the hub and spoke model. What is this hub and spoke? How many sourcing hubs did they have? How many sourcing hubs did they have? They were having 3 sourcing hubs, right? So where were there? It was in Jodhpur. Yeah, it was in Jodhpur, then in Gurgaon, and then in Bombay, right? So 3 sourcing hubs, right? So then, right? So how many distribution centers that they have? 17 distribution centers, right? So then what happened is that, right? So what is the first mile pickup? So in distribution, there is something called as a first mile pickup, right? So only 5% of the sellers have 5% of the inventory is stored in the warehouse, right? So the 95% of the inventory have to be made to order, or it has to be collected from the seller's space to your warehouse, right? I have given you the answer. Now tell me, what is first mile pickup? What is first mile pickup in distribution? In online retailing, what is that?
When you pick up the product from the suppliers,
From the suppliers and put it in your
warehouse or distribution center.
warehouse for distribution. So the first mile pickup is picking it up from the place of production to your storage space, right? Storage space, or in certain cases, if it's closer to the DC distribution center, it will go to the distribution center, right? So now tell me, based on the distribution model, yeah, fulfillment centers also, right? So there are 3 sourcing hubs, 17 distribution centers, right? So, and these 17 distribution centers, how are they going to work, right? How are they going to work? What is short haul movement? What is long haul movement? How many trucks do they have for delivery? How many trucks do they have for delivery at this point in time? 400 trucks, right? So 400 trucks which are owned by them, not 10 trucks. 10 was earlier. Over a period of time, now they have 400 or more than 400, Meghna, right? So reaching 500 cities, right? Fine. So reaching 500 cities, right? Say for example, I have a coffee table that is made in Faridabad. And I want it to be, yeah, Pepcart is the logistic partner of it who will deliver it from one part of the country. Now tell me, this is a problem to you. There is a coffee table that is made in Faridabad. And now it has to be delivered to Kundamangalam. Now tell me, from your hub and spoke model, take your exhibit, right? So you must be having a physical copy, right? I want, how will the movement of the product from Faridabad happens to Kundamangalam, right? So tell me, right? So take a moment and then tell me, how is a coffee table, which is produced by a furniture manufacturer in Faridabad, is going to be transported to Kundamangalam in Kerala or Kundamangalam in Kozhikode, right? So take a moment and then tell me whether it will go to the sourcing hub or whether it will go to the DC, which DC it will go, from which DC it will go. Yeah, great. So, but Vivek, Faridabad is closer to Delhi, is it not?
But you wanted delivered it Kundamangalam, so
Okay.
I think
So
sourcing might take place in Mumbai.
No, the seller is in Faridabad.
Achha, so we'll have one connecting between.
Yeah.
say, Bombay.
Are you in a position
Either
where?
by.
Yeah,
No, I
seller,
understood, ma'am. So,
Faridabad is closer to Delhi.
got
only.
it, got it.
Yeah.
So we'll have probably
Gurgaon,
Gurgaon via Bangalore and other things.
Via Bangalore to
Or
Kochi
via
to
Mumbai.
Koli, right? So Gurgaon to Bangalore to Kochi to Kundamangalam, right? So now tell me, is there a long haul movement possible from one point to another point? See, Faridabad is in the northern tip of the country and this is in the southernmost point. Should we take a long haul movement or a short haul movement? Is there a possibility? Think over. Is there a possibility of having a better way of moving things, right? So of course, Bangalore, Kochi, Kozhikode is there. Can we move it better? Can we optimize it? Is there a way? By removing intermediaries, right? So if there are large scale movement of goods from Faridabad, from Gurgaon to Kochi, right? So you can have one long haul movement also. Or if that is a route that they have given it for the, long haul, movers, then you can do it. So what happens is that you need to keep track of what is the first mile pickup, right? So we have now studied about first mile pickup. It is picked up from the supplier's point. It is going to the warehouse. From warehouse, it is going to a distribution center. From the distribution center, it is now transported to the next biggest point, right? So now tell me, how is the last mile delivery completed, right? So now it has reached somewhere near Kundamangalam, right? So it is there near, say for example, it is near the Kozhikode railway station. So what will they do? How will they get in touch with the consumer? What will happen in that case? Right? So first mile pickup we have done. So but last mile delivery also needs to be done. So what will they do? Right? So will they call up the customer, find out whether he is available? How is the assembling part of it? What is the post-purchase satisfaction part of it? Can somebody throw some light on it? Right? So now it is waiting somewhere in the outskirts of Kozhikode or in Kundamangalam. So what will the driver or the supervisor in the truck do? What will they do?
I think they have some automated system where they call and then check whether the customer is available in the house or not, so that the delivery can be attempted can be done in the first attempt only.
Good. Why is it done? Why is that done? Why is they making a call? Why are they making a call?
And because so furniture is like a big product and it takes a lot of space, and then logistic cost is high. So if you are attempting multiple times to deliver the product, obviously your costs will increase.
Cost will also go, and then see, it results in large scale dissatisfaction. So what happens is that delivery status update constantly goes on, and delivery time is also told to the consumer. So the last mile delivery results in is based on the customer's availability, right? And then what happens is that there is an installation also. Yeah, right? So as I told you, Indians are like, one important difference between Indians and the people in the West in the consumption of furniture is that their people can assemble it themselves. But then here we don't have the patience to assemble. So we want somebody else to assemble, right? So predominantly most of the work can be done by the supervisor inside the truck. He can do it. If it is slightly complicated, there are 300 odd carpenters, right? So available on call, right? So they are organized in the app, and then they can come and do the assembly part of it. So last mile delivery, assembly, everything is taken care of, right? So there is high customer satisfaction. Is that clear? So the entire distribution works like a well-oiled machine, right? So you pick it up, then you put it in a warehouse, you take it to the DC, you go in for a short haul or long haul movement, depending upon where the city is, right? And then after, prior to reaching the customer, you make sure that it is all checked, it is all in place, you assemble it, and then you do it. Fine. So the entire logistics, and yeah, inside the truck also, there is, everything is standardized. So the truck, the shape, size, the interiors, exteriors, the truck driver, his behavior, everything is under control. So the entire customer experience, whenever I come in touch with the brand, it is pleasant, right? So we will come back. It is 10:15 now. We'll go for a short break, and then we'll come back at 10:30. There will be a breakout room activity. Fine. So after you come back, so inform all your group members to be present, right? So I'll put you on to the breakout room, and then I will do the activity. So you need to find answer for a particular question, so which I'll give it to you prior to you moving to your breakout room. So we'll have another 15 minutes or so. We'll complete this discussion, right? So we can understand why this model is successful, right? And then we will go, right? So you can go for a break and come back at 10:30. with the discussion before we go in for the breakout rooms, right? So we will talk about what exactly is the difference between curated model and open marketplace model. So can somebody tell me what exactly is the difference? Why is this something which is coming as a interesting aspect over and over again, that this curated marketplace? Can someone tell me what exactly is the fundamental difference between the open marketplace and a curated marketplace?
So, ma'am, as mentioned, the curated marketplace model, the whole listing goes through selection process, and the main idea being, improving the discovery.
Good.
Because mindlessly, if we, allow the suppliers in the platform to list everything, so the user will get lost.
Okay, right. So one thing is it helps in product discovery. Fine. So then what else does it do, Vivek? Yeah, categories are designed based on, yeah. So open marketplace is where you have anyone can list anything, right? So what happened is that here it is done in two stages. One is the match between the supplier and the marketplace, right? The second or the first filter rather is if listed, right? So even after having that match between you and your product, right? So is your product moving? Product relevance to the consumer. So how many views are there? How many conversions are there? How many volumes are done? So what happens is that you have only what consumers want. Okay? So that you do it with your preference data and the consumer visits and the conversion data. Then any other advantage of open listing, curated listing? Anything else? Okay, what are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages? Now, advantages is that it is giving you an option, right? So what is happening? What will be the disadvantage? Right listing, right amount, exactly, Nisarga. Right? So what exactly is the flip side to it? What could be the disadvantage? Just because you're restricting the choice, right? So you're indeed relatively lower varieties, exactly. Cost analytics and product, less selection available, and also you lose out money, yeah? Right? So considerable amount is also involved in curating it, effort, time, and energy cost that is involved in it. And then you're foregoing your listing fee, right? So what a money that is the revenue that is could be generated by just listing him is now gone. Now, how are you making model? How this is business make model? It is if only the sale happens, right? So a person is displaying his product, a furniture producer is displaying his product on your platform. But when will he pay you money? If only that is converted into a sale. You are rather curbing your revenue in one form. Of course, right? So there will be more sale that will happen and it will compensate for you, right? So it is always on commission on orders, right? So I'll just go to that slide. Yeah. So then what happens is that it is, but the important aspect of it is that maintaining it is rather simple, right? So what is happening here is that it is also easier to control, right? So you can give product varieties which are optimal, right? So you don't impose information overload on the consumer, and there is also no choice overload, right? So I believe we have elaborately discussed about it in the consumer behavior class. So when you give more than what is required by the human brain to process, human mind cannot take a correct decision. So the decision that it might take may be suboptimal, right? So this will reduce the suboptimal decision making. Excuse me. So what happens in this particular case is that you're rather simplifying your process. You're giving what is needed. Thereby, you're getting the right kind of the audience and quality is maintained. But the only flip side of it is that you might lose some amount of money, right? So this is the difference between curated and an open marketplace model, right? So then what happened is, why is this slide moving constantly? Okay, now tell me, they have made quite a big amount of, what to say, they have betting on omni-channel. Why? So these guys have taken enormous pain to create an online furniture vertical. After putting an enormous amount of effort and money and time and everything in it, why are these people after opening physical outlets, right? So why should they do? Why is that? Is it not very contradictory to the very nature in which the business was started? Say if they want only physical presence, they could have started multiple chain outlets, physical outlets. Why are these guys spent all their efforts doing everything? And after which now they are saying, I want to start physical outlets also. Why is it that they want omni-channel? They want physical, they want digital, right? So they want seamless experience across different channels. That is omni-channel, right? So why is it that they want that?
And they want to secure all their, all the possible.
All the possible ways of print. Okay, how did this idea for a physical store started? Nature of the product is there. How did this start actually? So was it out of the blue, like one day Sham or Murthy woke up and then they said that I want to start a physical outlet? Yeah, they're correct. You're engaging with customers at all points. What was the trigger for this? See, when you start anything, there must be a considerable amount of research background. Like they don't do anything just by chance.
Ma'am, it's mentioned in the case that about 40% of people were not, were what they called as line fencing. I think people who
Yeah.
were 30%
So what did they do?
buying.
So what did they do? So they were watching the customer traffic, right? So those people who bought, those who did not buy, those were fence sitters. Then what did they do? What did they do, my gram? What did they do with the fence sitters? Many people visited the site, they did not buy it. And then competition from offline also. Yeah, good, Isha. Right, so what did they do with the data? There is now the data available with them, right? So the customer visits are now getting tracked by Pepperfry. So what's happening? What's happening? What did they do? What did they do? What happened is that they found as to how many times they visited, right? So how many number of purchases they made or they did not make or they kept visiting the sites frequently. From which part of the country are these visits more from, right? So which profile? Yeah, to identify. So these are the people who are interested in product but little hesitant to purchase online. Are you in a position to understand when you repeatedly visit a site, what does it mean? Right? If you visit the site once, right, it is fine, you're interested, but then you're repeatedly visiting it and then you're not buying it. So there is something that some apprehension is there within you. So they kept watching at those people, they were considerable amount, and then they were watching at the places from where, geographies from where these come from. And they started looking out for physical spaces in those places. And then what about the physical stores? Are they sales point? Are they experience point? So somebody said it's an experience point, right? So it never had a salesperson, right? So it had only a designer. So there you could see the products getting placed in the store, how it looks in your living room, how it looks in your bedroom, right? So how it looks, yeah, it is a design inspiration. Are you in a position to understand? So these served as a designer. Then how about the sales that had happened there? Manned by interior designers. So, but what happened to the sale there? Was it higher, lower than that of their online stores? Or what was the conversion rate? Conversion rate was 65%, right? So how about the value of the product? How about the value of the product sold there? Was it higher than what was sold online? It was higher, right? So it was 80 to 100% higher. Large number of products were also sold, right? Of course, all these sale happened through Pepperfry, but inside a physical store, right? So there is no sale. The designer there will assist you in buying the same products or whatever products you desire through via Pepperfry online. So what started as an experience center is now doing extremely well. But to start an experience center, there was a trigger. There were good number of fence sitters. So they watched those fence sitters. They tracked from where they come from, right? And then they did, right? So then this was the reason why they went in for a omni-channel strategy. And of course, this product category is more prone for physical stores, but then their physical stores is not a pure physical store, right? It is not a selling point. It is an experience point. That is a key differentiator, right? So they will not sell products there, right? So then we'll go as to how they handle their threats, or we will discuss about their PLB. What happened to their PLB? Why did they have house brands? Why there is a necessity for house brands at all when you're aggregating suppliers, right? So what did the model do? The model had aggregated suppliers, right? So from across the country, better margin. Now you look at why it had happened, Devesh, right? So they have now put different players from across it. but they're also starting their own label, right? It gives margin. How much margin does it give? What did we read in Deloitte report? What was the margin? How much better margin will it give? Generally, a PLB in any category is
20 to 25%.
yeah, 25 to 40%. In this case, it is giving them 10% more margin, right? So higher margin is one thing. Then what is another thing very specific to the particular category? Very specific to the particular category. Tell me.
Ma'am, they had 70% of revenues coming in from that category.
Yeah, yeah, they had a considerable amount of revenue coming from that particular category. And when you look at furniture, right? So furniture as a category, when you look for it, when you look for any furniture, right? So the point number one that you look for is the design, right? So do I like the design? You don't look at the functionality of the product. So you can recall your earlier purchases and then you can understand what you have gone through, right? So recently I wanted to purchase one working table, right? Yeah, like moving to the furniture category. So if when I wanted to buy a table, right? So the table was fixed in my mind, right? So when I started looking at Flipkart, I told you I bought one from Flipkart, right? So what I was looking out was the design of the table first. I never looked at the functionality of the table, right? So for me, table is a workspace that is ingrained. But then I never looked at whether it had space to keep the laptop, whether it has a place to keep my vacuum writer, and whether it had a place to keep my mobile or all these things. The functionality came second. So when I scanned the product page, the product discovery phase of mine, right, I was looking at different designs, right? So the different designs, and next comes the functionality, because functionality gets fixed when you go for a product search. After which it comes only after design. So after which you have to look whether the chair is ergonomic or the chair table is of nice. And then comes the price. Price takes a third seat in the process. And when there is more of design, right? So this gives you a scope to intervene, right? Now that you're aware of what exactly is happening in the supply chain. So these guys have a hang of what is happening on the ground in the furniture making. So it is easier for them to outsource and then make one and then create their PLBs, right? So in this, they will earn a very less commission. But then if you make your own PLBs, you will earn better commission. It's already 50% of their GMV, right? So the GMV at this point in time is going to be 20 million, right? So what happens in this particular case is you can get considerable amount of money, better money, easier control, right? So it helps you in your growth, profitability, and loyalty. And also what happens is that it gives you complete freedom over everything, right? So the entire branding, pricing, and all these things, you have complete freedom. So that is the reason they are into private labels also. But don't you think that it is a little too much? After having done all the groundwork to put all these suppliers on place, now I'm also producing it. I'm also into the game. Will that work, or will it yield results, or will it likely to backfire for them? Are they
manufacturing it or just putting their brand over the
they're just putting the brand. They will not manufacture it. Right? They will not be into manufacturing. They'll find one manufacturer and then they'll put a brand. Right? So, but that will be made specifically for pepper fry. There is a difference between white label and private label. Right? So, are you aware of what is white label and what is private label? White label is like there will be a common producer. He will produce a particular product. And say, for example, Reliance or More or all these chain stores in groceries will buy from them, and then they will add their name alone. The product is standardized, right? So those goods where there is no customization of the products is white goods, white brands. Whereas if you're going to specifically tailor make your product for your brand, that is PLB. And it is done only by the manufacturer. And I think these guys will go for PLB with specific manufacturers. It will not be like white brand, right? But according to me, they are spreading themselves too thin. That is my personal opinion. See, how much can these people handle? How much of value chain operations can you man yourself? Can the company does it on its own? And then now you're going into rental also, you're going into your PLB also. It is enticing proposition. There's no denial of the fact. Are they not spreading themselves too thin? Don't you think so? Or is it my personal opinion that they're spreading themselves too thin? It is like, so you should not be venturing. See, the company is just 8 years old, right? So in 8 years, what you have done is commendable. Why are you adding more and more to your kitty? And as it is, the competition is intensifying, right? So when the competition is intensifying, What should be the strategy? To focus on what you are good at doing, right? So in a stage, if there is less of competition, then you can focus on something which is not your domain or your expertise area and explore and then see how it works. Now there are people doing all sorts of things, but you're into your private label also. But then according to the case, it gives them better money and then they're going into it. So let's not probe more into it. I thought I'll give my opinion on it. To create more value, yeah, more trust in private brands. There is no denial of the fact. Yeah, I do agree that PLB commands a loyalty with it. But at this point in time, right, so will they be in a position to do it? And they are doing fairly well, so they must have done their math for it, right? So now we will go into the rental model, right? So rental model we had discussed. Vinay and Palak gave their views on how furniture lending is, right? So we saw about the pros of it, right? So how well their experience was. Both Palak and Vinay were extremely satisfied with their experience, right? The rental charges were very low, and then it also gave them ownership options, subscription renewal, and all these things. What is the flips? What is the need for it? What is the need for them going into rental? What is the need for them? And what exactly is there, what to say, the flip side or the disadvantages of going into rental? Resale and damage, exactly, right? So now when Palak got, it was brand new products. When you give them, it is older, you have to refurbish it and then give it to somebody else. And will everybody be like Palak and Vinay in being responsible? Can we expect responsible consumer behavior in handling the product as though it is my own product? No, that is a huge issue, right? So it is a huge issue. Responsible consumer behavior is something which even developed countries find it very difficult with, right? So have you seen the people of Western world on their compliance for COVID norms? They are worse than developing economies, right? So nowhere you can expect the responsible behavior from consumers, right? So they might damage you or they may do some tricky things which you don't understand, which you may not get to know at all. So I have my bitter experience with ironing of the clothes, right? So I don't know how many of you share my experiences. So whenever I give it for ironing any of my, I only get it done through another lady, right? So what happened is that these iron men or women, whoever does ironing, right? So they conveniently damage the product, damage the clothes, and then they pack it so well that you don't know that at all. And many a times when you're in a hurry to wear the clothes and then you go out, you may not know that it is torn or tattered only, right? So this is the experience which I encountered with supplier also, right? So I don't know how many of you can share the experience with me. For me, for over a period of time, I've been encountering this, right? So it is neatly ironed and then kept back given to me. I don't know that it is spoiled because of ironing. So all the clothes that we wear needs to be very delicately ironed. So that kind of behavior exists across countries, across globe. So this will permeate in all spheres. Responsible consumer behavior is very. And then see if it is subscription. It requires repeated collection of money. Right? So of course you can do it online. But is it sustainable? Why should they do it at all? Why are they doing it? These guys are selling furniture. But why do they have to rent furniture also? Of course, those slow moving products, you can put them on. That is one way, is it not? The item that is not moving well in the market can be put on rental. Is that the only way? Ideal inventory. Yeah, that can be one reason. What other reasons can be a better reason? This is like you are optimizing the available resources. What other reasons that could trigger the rental segment for them to go, right? So this is a new model. Buying and selling is a different business. Renting is a different business. See, buying and selling involves transfer of title. Once you sell a table to me, I'm the owner of the table, right? So subsequent liabilities fall on me. But in rental, there is no transfer of title, right? So he will hold that particular product for a period of time, after which it has to come back to you, right? So the dynamics are very different. Despite all these things, some delicate, intricate issues, why are they not? Millennials are migrating. Tell me the number of millennials. Why is this market so very important? In India, especially. In India, why is it so very important? How much percentage of Indian population is below the age of 25? How much is the percentage of India is a young country? Thanks, Divyan. Tell me, could you just give me some number? You're exactly correct. You're talking what I wanted to. millennials, migratory, young. I want a number now. 50% of Indian population are less than 50 years. 65% of Indian population are less than 35, right? So these guys, right? So after what, imagine your scenario, right? So after 22 or 23, yeah, 22 or 23, what will you do? You start working, right? So when you work, right? So you're not settled in the initial phase of your career. So you will jump jobs. You would like to shift to education, learning after a point in time, right? So till 30 or according to the survey, till 29 years of age, right? So what happened is that this phase of Indians is called as the settling phase. At that point in time, these people are not interested owning assets at all. They don't want to commit anything because buying everything involves a huge expenditure, right? So much of cost involved in it, and then how to pack it and then take it to the next place or this throw it off, whatever it has become a big hassle. They don't want to have that hassle. And this 22 to 29 is a prime age where you encounter the brand, right? Say, for example, Urban Ladder gets into rental and then it gives its furniture on rental. What happens is that this millennial will buy it and then he'll be hooked on to the particular brand. As it is, I'm renting from Furl & Co, right? So Furl & Co is going to sell furniture. Will I not buy from it, right? So if you don't tap that market, what will happen is that it is likely that I might miss out on this entire 50% of the population. They may not come back to me at all. At least considerable number of people may choose to stay with these people because this is a set of people who are into sharing and renting, right? So sharing is that share accommodation or something like that, and then renting of things. If a brand is getting introduced to the individual in the rental mode in the initial phase of his brand encounter, for him, like, see, if I ask Palak or Vinay whether if Rent Mojo or Furl & Co is going to give furniture to you or sell furniture to you, most likely they might buy it because the experience was good, right? So what happens in this case is that if you miss out on that, you're likely to miss out on a considerable amount of people. Just a moment, Atulya is calling. I asked her to create the breakout room. Let me check with her before I continue. Right? So they don't want to miss out on this particular aspect. So this is a wise move. Don't you think so? That it is a wise move? Otherwise,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So it is very difficult otherwise. It is not easy. Once these guys go out of your fold, right? So bringing them to your fold will get extremely difficult. So their foray into furniture rental seems to be the need. They would not have desired to, unlike PLB, where there is a desire to earn more money by the existing resources. But this is a different model, different way of making money, but then they cannot afford to lose it. That could be the reason why they are going in. And also this model is slightly different, right? So it is a complex business, right? So re-entering into the agreement, sending the products, and then regular maintenance, refurbishing, and then putting it again on rental, and then collection and all these things. Of course, it's all done online and everything is hassle-free at this point in time, but then this model is slightly more intensive, taxing than the buying and selling process, and the cycle may also be short. In the case of Vinay, I think he used it only for 6 months, right? So people may take it for 2 months, 3 months, right? So 1 month, right? So how are we going to handle all these things, right? So, but still, that is the right move for them to go, right? And then we're coming to the last question before we get on to our breakout room. How are they handling their competition, right? So online competition is there, offline competition is there. How is Pepperfry handling it? How is Pepperfry handling it?
Ma'am, so in the case it was given that
Hmm.
the founders were very positive about the competition and they were not very moved or
Good.
threatened because they felt that the overall industry will grow and it will be good for them.
Hmm.
They were anyways the market leaders in the online space,
Hmm.
and anything that IKEA or Amazon IKEA would do would add to the furniture industry.
Okay.
Similarly, if Amazon, Flipkart, they have any advertisement even in today's date, the
Mhm.
maximum traffic what happens ends up on Pepperfry. So they
Good.
were unfazed about from the competition, and they were mostly positive about the curated marketplace model that they have created and how it benefits them. So all in all, they were not very phased with the competition.
Yeah, they were
is
not
what-
troubled or disturbed by the amount of competition that is hitting, right? So what is happening here is they are now facing online and offline competition. So if IKEA opens a store and then gives advertisement, right? So the traffic comes to Pepperfry store. If Amazon gives an ad or if Amazon promotes its sale, traffic comes to Pepperfry, right? So what happened is that whatever be it, they are very positive in their approach, saying that the intense competition or a more intense in the future will make the category grow, right? So category growth happens only when there is more of players. If you remember in my consumer behavior class when I talked about Beyond Meat, do you remember the case called Beyond Meat? Those of you,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there I had told about category creation, how a category gets created and how the category is diffused. When the category gets diffused, the inherent attractiveness of the category will invite more and more of brands, right? So it will result in brand diffusion. So the moment you know that there are more number of players coming into that particular category, then it is an indicator that the category is growing, right? So it is a growing category it is a growing category which will attract players who will come to your category if it is unattractive, right? So say for example, if you produce fire extinguisher, is it intensely competitive? Yeah, right. So they will tell me, think about fire extinguisher, domestic fire extinguisher, and then tell me if that is happening. Like, is there an intense competition in that industry? When will people come? People will come if only there is money in it. How many of you have a domestic fire extinguisher? Tell me, which is the leading brand in domestic fire extinguisher? There is a brand called Ceasefire. Have you seen that red can with a black spray nozzle? Have you seen it in many places? Yes, that is a domestic fire extinguisher. Ceasefire, yeah, yes, in hostels. How many of you have it at home? How many of you have it at home? How many of you have it at home? It is a domestic fire extinguisher, right? So not at home, right? So it is a product category which is unsought, right? So nobody, how many players are there apart from Ceasefire? I cannot remember any brand. Can you remember any brand of domestic extinguisher? Anybody? Okay, fine. So why are people not going into that category? Because the category is not attractive. It is not attracting brands. It is not attracting players. When will players come? If only there is an opportunity to make money. So when people are coming, it means that they are making money, right? So they are not hassled by the competition. They are handling competition rather well, right? So what happened is that they have created, these are two things which I read from the other sources. They have created something called as a bespoke. Bespoke is a consulting arm of Pepperfry, right? So what they do is that they are into the renovation and doing interiors of the older homes. Like if you renovate your old home, they are into doing your interiors, and or you're constructing a new home, they will give you interior solutions, right? So the interior solutions is not necessarily furniture based. Are you in a position to understand, right? So this is this is on overall home improvement, right? So plumbing, electrical, and so many other things, right? So this is one thing that they're working on, right? So this again is a little different from the core work that they're doing or their core competency. They are into buying and selling furniture, creating the entire end-to-end supply chain. Now they are into home solutions. But this is one way, but they were working on, and they're also into modular furniture, right? So these are the two things that they're currently doing, right? So we have to wait and
Ma'am?
watch. Meghna.
Ma'am, Bespoke is the Pepperfry's own handle. Like, are they running this consultancy?
Yeah, they're running. They're running it.
Okay.
They're running it as a consultancy arm. It is basically this home consultation, right? So, or interior solution, they are called by different names now, right? So they are into, it is a $15 billion market. What is the total furniture industry market value? It is $35 billion, out of which $15 billion is for interior solutions alone. So they want to focus on this. But the problem here is that it is not necessarily only furniture. It is also so many other things, right? So we
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
wait and watch as to how, and modular also, both kitchen and wardrobe currently, which they don't do. they were planning to diversify, right? So now I'll brief you on the breakout room activity, right? So you will be assigned to breakout room. Hope Atulya told me that she had done it, right? So it should be based on your group, but there are problems creating breakout room today. That is what Atulya was telling me. So it is a problem with other groups. If you found any problem, you can use your Google Meet also to work with your group members. Right? So what I want you to do is listen to me, right? You need to find out, right? So what is the current state of business of Pepperfry? How much money does it make? What is the revenue? What is the loss? What is the loss figure? How much revenue do they make? How much loss do they make? What is the revenue? What is the loss? How much revenue? How much loss do they make? Can somebody tell me from the case? It is there in the first page of the case. What is the revenue of Pepperfry?
37.8.
37.8. Is it?
No. Sorry. 2.5. No, I saw
2.5.
some other.
I mean,
Okay.
the exhibits it is given, no?
Yeah, exhibit, but what is given at the start of the case? How much of revenue do they make? How much of loss do they make? They make 2.58 billion money or revenue.
Five.
What is the loss?
2.48.
48. So it is not a profitable business, is it not? Right? So now as a group, what you need to know, thank you for all your responses here. Right? So what you're now going to do as a group is to brainstorm as to how to make it profitable. See, all this looks nice and rosy, right? So they're working on with suppliers, they're working with what the customers want, they're giving PLB, they're into renting, they're into consultation. All this looks nice and rosy. But then fundamentally you should also be profitable, is it not? Right? So now as a group, what you need to do is that you need to find out, please write down this question. I have not posted it in the group, right? So this is the question I want the group, each group to brainstorm and arrive at a solution. So what are the strategic drivers to achieve profitability, right? So what you need to do is, right? So you can use Ansoff matrix or any of the strategy tool, right? And then what you need to do is that the analysis has to be from these five important aspects of it. What is the cost? What is the revenue? What is the growth? What is the viability? The financials of it talk about the cost, revenue, growth, and viability. Don't suggest a method or an alternative which is not viable. Are you in a position to understand? So you should suggest something which is workable, which is feasible, right? So these are the four important things which I want you to do. Cost, you don't, I want a solution which is cost effective, which is going to give me money and help me in my growth, right? So you can earn money, but if your growth is stagnant, then that's of no use. Is that clear? Then the viability of it, right? So how is it feasible, right? So these are the financial dimensions of it. The next important part of it is that what are the factors that influence them, right? What are the drivers? And then anything which you do will not be without challenges. What are those challenges, right? So these are the things that you have to discuss, debate, and then come back to me. So I'm giving you 15 minutes to do that activity. It is 11:05 now, right? So do that activity for 15 minutes. 11:20, we can come back and then we can discuss. So Atulya, you have the host control now. Can you put the class into their breakout rooms, respective breakout?
Ma'am, actually, the manual option is not working, ma'am. It's due to some technical error. I spoke to CC. He said that not only automatic.
But then you told me, you called me up and then you said it was done.
Yeah, one time I created, ma'am. One time it.
Yeah, it vanished. It vanished. It is no longer there.
At the end of the process, it vanished.
Okay, fine. See, Atulya has created the breakout room. She called me in the middle of the class and she told me it is all done, but then again it got vanished. There is some technical issue, as I told you. We are facing things from, right? So what happens is that all I want you to do is that if you want, you can use your Google Meet option, or shall I randomly assign you to the breakout rooms? Can you transfer the host control to me, Atulya? Transfer the host control to me. So what do you suggest? Do you want to
sure.
Use your breakout room, like your Google Meet options or WhatsApp Meet option, and then come back to me, right? Okay. right? So fine. So I'm not intervening because you want to be with your own group. So you can go back to your Google Room, Google Meet option or whatever option you want to use it, and then come back to me at 11:20, right? So after which we will take up a discussion. Is that fine, right? So you all can go and then discuss the case. I will share the questions if you want to, right? So this is the question that I want you to discuss, right? So how to make paper fry profitable, right? So 15 minutes from now, please go to your groups and then come back and then we will discuss. Fine. Atulya, what happened to it? Did you check with the CC as the breakout option is not working? Are you in touch with the CC regarding this?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I spoke to Mustafa sir and Madhanan sir. Both of them said that there's but it said that there is some issue in manual breakout room option. If it is possible, automatic, automatic breakout option.
Random
So we
assignment
have
is
to
possible, but
pre-assign
manual is not
students.
possible. Okay, just get it
Then we
done.
have to assign the students pre-assigned.
Yeah, coordinate with them and then get it done at the earliest.
Okay, okay.
Have you all completed the task? Can we start the discussion now? Or do you need some more time to complete it? Can one of you come and tell me? Is the task completed? Have you found out the drivers and also analyzed the drivers, or do you need some more time?
Yeah, ma'am. We would request some more time.
You need some more time. Okay, right. So we will assemble around 11:25, right? So take 5 more minutes, complete the task, right? So we'll have the debrief in the next class. So you can take 5 more minutes, right? So all of you, those who are listening to me, right? So the time is extended by another 5 minutes. Just go ahead, complete the task, but then do the analysis of it also. It has to be analyzed from cost, revenue, viability, growth, and also the drivers and the challenges. Is that clear? Right? So go ahead and then complete the task and then come back to the main room by 11:28. So we will have a quick discussion and then we'll discuss from the class. Is that clear? So the assembly time is 11:28 for you all. This is the question which I was talking about. So somebody wanted the question. I'm just keeping the slide active again, right? So, and also I want it to be discussed from 4 important parameters, right? So cost, revenue, growth potential, and viability. So I request all of you to come back to the main class and then listen to me. Right, so this assignment, you can do it, and then Atulya has created a submission link. You can submit it. So I'll debrief about it, about this particular activity on next class, right? So in your next class, we'll have IKEA's case discussion, right? So it is very relevant to the furniture industry. So what you need to do is only very little amount of reading, especially pertaining to IKEA. So now that you know what is the furniture industry, right? So discussion of it will be rather very easy. Fine. So I urge you all to.
Ma'am?
Huh.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we have our next class in 15 minutes, and since it was discussion, we didn't prepare any proper slides or something. We just discussed the pointers, or we didn't write it.
You have the scanned copy, handwritten document, you can scan and attach it. That is not a problem. Right?
Ma'am, but it's not presentable. It's not at all like.
So how much time do you need? Do you need some more time for submission?
Ma'am, it'll be like if you can give till evening or night, that will be helpful.
Right. So, okay, take your time. Right. So I thought it's an in-class activity. It must be in a presentable form. Okay. Right. So end of the day. Okay, fine. Right. So nobody has done it in a presentable form. Okay. I will extend the deadline. Right. So by tomorrow morning. Right. So
Yes,
I'm just
that
giving
is.
one more time. I can understand you. Right. So by tomorrow morning, I will extend it by a day. Submit it by then, right? So I will go through it, evaluate it, and I will also debrief it, right? So, but whenever I give a group activity, I will ask for the presentation in the class. If it is not feasible, then it has to be submitted, right? So this activity is a 25-minute activity, right? So by tomorrow morning, all of you make sure that you submit it. Is that fine with you? Right?
Yes, ma'am. That will
Next
be helpful.
class
Thank
we
you,
will
ma'am.
discuss. Yeah, next class we will discuss about IKEA, right? So come back refreshed, rejuvenated, right? Fine. Thank you. Bye. Have a great weekend.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. There's a request. So, so for IKEA, we have to make a submission also, right?
Do you want a submission?
So
Okay. So this time I'm exempting you for submission because you're going to submit one more assignment for this one, pepper fry. Fine. So IKEA will not have a submission. Is that fine? But then see, if you're not going to respond in the class, if you're not participating in the discussion, then I will make submission regular from next week. Is that clear? Right? So I'm giving you another. Vineet, go ahead.
So request was like, so there should not be more. So if you can do this, like only one submission per week, because it gets hectic. Because we have a class on Tuesday and we have only one day in between, and then on Thursday we have again class. So on Wednesday we have like three, 4 classes, and then we don't get time to prepare for the Thursday submission.
Okay, fine. Right. So can we discuss it in the next class? Like if it will get delayed for you. Are you having class? Then it will get delayed, right? So,
okay.
Right. So we will discuss about it and we'll arrive at a consensus. See, I am aware of your difficulties. If you encounter, if you let me know, is when I can act on, right? So next week, IKEA, it is a free week for you, right? So retailing submission is not there for next class, right? So enjoy your weekend. But then it is under the assumption that you all will come prepared for the discussion. Is that fine? The moment I find that nobody comes for a discussion, then I have to go back to my ways of asking for submission, right? So if you're coming prepared for the discussion, I will not ask for many submissions. But the moment the discussion level stops, then I will ask for it. Is that fine, right? So under that request, you will not have a submission for IKEA, but this submission you make it by tomorrow morning. Fine. So thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and then we'll meet again in the next class. Bye. See you all.